Hello YouTube! Today I am doing a video response to Johnny Smooth, who wants to know what video games I play. And since I have not done a blog where I talk about myself or things that I do in a long time, I thought this is a pretty good one to do. Now then, video games. I was not allowed to play video games when I was a kid. And all my friends could, and all my friends had Super Nintendo and Sega and Nintendo and whatever else there was back then. And I remember loving to play Donkey Kong for Super Nintendo, Donkey Kong Country, which in fact I just got on the Virtual Console for the Wii, which is pretty cool. But we'll get to that. This is like an evolution of my video game playing. So, wasn't allowed to play video games. Would go over to my friend's house and play like Mortal Kombat on their Nintendo, but I always sucked at it because I would play, once a month or less, and they got to play all the time, and they always made fun of me. So, by the way, I did not live in America yet at this point. This is when I lived in England, and then I lived in Bermuda, and then I moved to America, and then my parents finally gave in and allowed me to get a Nintendo 64, which was roughly around 1997, 98, sometime around then. Anyway, got the Nintendo 64, and then I started getting some, video game stuff going on. But, I don't know, I had a lot of fun, and there's a lot of memories thinking back to those times now at this point in my life, which for some reason I have been thinking back to that point in my life. And a lot of it revolves around these games, even though I wasn't allowed to play it all that much anyway. Even when I did finally was allowed to have it, there was like times when I was allowed to play it. So what I ended up doing was secretly, because now I had a little bit of pocket money, I secretly went out and bought an extra Nintendo 64, which I could secretly hook up to my computer, which had this video card which allowed me to plug my Nintendo and play. This is the old Macs. Now, I don't make the... you can do this still, but the old Macs, they used to come. My computer came with the RGB, the red and the yellow and the white wires, and it had this program called Apple Video Player that you could just plug any old thing into your computer and watch it on the computer. And now you gotta download some stuff and buy some extra cards and all this other crap. But anyway... This is a beige G3. This was before they started getting all fancy. It was a great computer. So I played my 64 on that computer. It was a lot of fun. And the games that I played were Legends of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. I had a bunch of racing games. There were these games called Rush, which were these fantastic car games where you could do crazy stuff, but if it was more than just racing, because it was the first car racing games that I'm aware of that you could actually drive off of the road and you could find things to do besides just drive around. And in this one, the original Rush, you could go down this hill on this one level and fly down the hill and avoid some rocks and avoid falling into the ocean, and there was a secret tunnel. You could go into this tunnel and it was this crazy world with flips and ramps and all sorts of stuff, and you just go in there and bomb around, and there was no points or anything for doing anything like that yet in the game, but the whole point was just to see if you could do it without blowing up, because if you blew up, you got ejected out of this special area and you had to find it all over again. But anyway, so me and my friend would have these competitions, but at the same time, if somebody finishes the race, then it's over for everybody else. So it was like one of those, like, alright man, we're gonna go into that room and do some crazy shit, and you're not allowed to finish, because if you finish, you suck. So we used to do that. And we also, while this was going on, we would also play Warcraft 2. We would make each other levels on the computer and yeah, so we'd make each other levels while somebody else was like playing Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and then we'd switch. We'd go play the level they just made while they were watching play Ocarina of Time, and then make a level, yada yada, so on and so forth. And then there was GoldenEye. That was a great game. And what else did we? Those Mario Kart and all those games, of course, and yeah. And then 64 came and went. And there were some good games on there. My friend had some good games on that. I never really had that many great games, but I had some alright games on it. Then the Rush came out with like the later Rushes where they incorporated these tricks more into the game when you got points, and then a really crazy one came out later where your car like had wings and stuff to really do the tricks. But it was boring at that point. It was more fun when you weren't supposed to really know about it, but you could do it. And then there was a great Star Wars game for Nintendo 64. You were talking about Star Wars, Mr. Johnny Smooth. There was a great Star Wars game for the 64. I have no idea what it was called, but it was a lot of fun. There were battles. I remember one of the really fun battles is the one where you got those big walking chicken things and big walking dog things, and I don't know what these shits are called. And you got your like galactic, the good guys' airplanes, and you have to fly around with that rope and like tangle the thing up, and it falls. And it was on Hoth, I think, the ice world. Hey, who gives a fuck about that? It was a cool game. Then GameCube came out, and that pretty much sucked. There was no good games on there. Zelda for that really sucked. It drives me crazy. People are gonna get pissed off when I say this, but fucking Wind Waker, Zelda the Wind Waker, it sucked. What else did I play? You know what? There was a couple of good games there for that because the GameCube was really one of those toss-ups where I had the PS2 and I had the GameCube. And the PS2, of course, I only got it because I wanted to play GTA. So I waited for the PS2 to be really cheap. And then I got GTA. Never had GTA 3, but I had Vice City and I had San Andreas. And it was good enough. I played GTA 3 on my friend's PlayStation. I didn't need to buy it. Also, the James Bond game was cool for that. There was a couple of bad ones, and there was one good one. And yeah, pretty much it. But recently, I got a Wii, and the Wii is a lot of fun. So far, some of the games kind of suck for it. I got Call of Duty. It was alright. Red Steel. It was alright. Got bored of it. The Zelda game on Wii is really cool, but I haven't beat it yet because I got really far through it, and then I had to start doing schoolwork again, and I just don't have time to dedicate myself to Zelda because it takes some dedication. Then I just got this other game for it which came out, which is a snowboarding game called SSX Blur, which is a series of games which is on a bunch of other systems. But it is not as good as this other game that I remember just now that I used to love for Nintendo 64, which is 1080 Snowboarding. And that is the best snowboarding game ever made for any console. There might be better ones, but that is the best one I have ever played. And it's a shame that they discontinued that franchise. What else? Tiger Woods Golf 2007 for the Wii comes out in a week. And I will not get it in a week because I won't have money in a week. But when I get money, I will be getting that game because that seems to be the best purpose for the Wii. Tiger Woods Golf 2007. And video games, yeah. So those are the video games that I like to play. Warcraft was cool. I don't like this new World of Warcraft. I don't like these games where you have to go on the internet and play against people. I was never good at playing against people. I was good at playing one-player games. So, one-player games it has to be, or Warcraft 2, where you're not playing against anybody really except for the computer. Anyway, that's what I gotta say about that.